Fredrick Hicks is the founder and president of the Hicks Evaluation Group, a consulting firm that specializes in candidate and issue campaigns, consulting, and public affairs. He's joining me now live from Atlanta, Georgia. Great to have you here with us on TRT World. So this is how Donald Trump wants the public to look at this verdict: a victory for his campaign, his team, his former presidency, and a victory for American democracy and Constitution. How are you looking at this?
So Donald Trump is a spin master, and he's going to take every story and say it's a great story. We saw in the debate here last week in the United States that he referred to January 6th as a great day, a good day with many good people. So I wouldn't expect him to say anything but this. The reality is that they being the Supreme Court, said that a president has absolute immunity for acts that take place in his or her official capacity. This is not a matter of things or a matter of official capacity when we talk about his actions. And so that's really what the lower courts are going to deliberate and debate and decide, adjudicate, is what is and is not an official action. But this is not, it's not a bad ruling for Donald Trump, but it's certainly not necessarily a good ruling. And all this means that in the interim, that this probably will delay the federal prosecution. But I think he's going to have a hard time arguing that some of the charges against him were in his official capacity. And certainly, as he tried to argue today as well, that the recent guilty 34-count indictment or conviction in New York, he's arguing that should be exempt, but it's not. That was around his private dealings. So he still has a lot of legal trouble ahead of him, but it could have been worse, and it could have been better for him.
Right, but Fredrick, correct me if I'm wrong, in some ways it's been a victory for Donald Trump, especially given the fact that he won't be going on trial before the presidential elections, and also given the fact that this ruling has basically rejected a decision from a federal appeals court in February that found Donald Trump enjoyed no immunity for alleged crimes he committed during his presidency.
Well, first, it was already very unlikely that he was going to go to court before the election. The federal judges have done a good job in delaying and sort of papering, what we would call papering, the process. So that was very unlikely that he was going to go to trial anyway. So let's put that to the side. Now, the court in February did rule that, and you're correct about that. I don't think many legal scholars expected that to hold up, because the question, really, the central question of this was, what actions can a president take and be held accountable for post office? And so let's say a president has to make a very hard decision today, and 5 years from now, it doesn't age well, as we like to say. Can you go back and hold him or her accountable for that? And so that's what this was really seeking to answer. It was a 6-3 majority that ruled in this way. I think with a lot of things, if Donald Trump is reelected, he's going to test the boundaries of that, and I think the court's going to be forced to redefine it. But again, for right now, the question now is what is and is not an official act. And so that's something that's gonna be adjudicated. But again, he wasn't going to go to court on the federal charges before November. He's already gone to court in New York on the local charges and found guilty. Here in Georgia and Atlanta, the state court of appeals has already found a way to delay his court proceedings so that won't happen until after the election. So he did buy some time, but he is still a convicted felon, convicted of 34 counts.
Right, I mean, and it's his former presidency was so unprecedented, isn't it? Experts in the 21st century don't even know which of his actions are official and which of his actions are unofficial. It's mind-boggling. Now, before I let you go, very quickly, what do you think this verdict means for the Biden campaign?
So I think this verdict is just really going to further polarize American politics right now. But I think that it's going to make Democrats feel like, hey, we have to do something. We have to win this election because we have to turn the court in our favor. I think for conservatives, they're going to feel a bit of vindication. And it's also going to help them say, well, hey, listen, he wasn't convicted in a federal case because it's not going to happen before the election. And they're going to continue to say that the New York verdict was a sham trial. So there's a little bit of both, but I think honestly what this is going to do is it's going to help Democrats move past last week's debate performance much quicker, because Democrats were now going to say there's something much bigger at play than a bad debate performance by Joe Biden. We have to look at the courts and we have to look at the Congress, and we have to win those in order to bring some sort of normalcy back to American politics, which you just alluded to. I mean, how do we define this era thus far? And do we want Trump to be the defining era, or a defining mechanism and tool, or do we want our traditions to be the defining tool?
Fredrick Hicks, thanks very much for talking to us here on TRT World. Really appreciate your taking out the time.